We begin with a lie the world tells us, a lie we tell ourselves. We are told that power in relationships is about volume. It is about being heard, about winning the argument, having the last word, imposing your will, making the other person see it your way. We are taught to fight for the microphone of the conversation, to dominate the emotional landscape, to control. This is a trap. It is noise. And noise, however loud, is just static. It convinces you are doing something when you are merely generating heat. You become a reactive instrument, playing only the notes someone else's behavior strikes from you. A shout provokes a shout. A dismissal provokes a plea. A withdrawal provokes a chase. You are dancing to a rhythm you did not choose, in a cage you did not see being built. The silent power move I speak of is the shattering of that cage, but it is not shattered with a roar. It is dismantled, bolt by silent bolt, from the inside. It begins by understanding that the power you have been seeking, the power of control, is an illusion. It is a puppet master's fantasy. You cannot control another human being, not truly, without breaking them, and in that breaking you lose everything you sought to hold. True power, the kind that changes the weather in a room, the kind that alters the trajectory of a connection, is not about controlling the other. It is about mastering the self. It is about influence, not imposition. It is the power of the deep ocean current, not the crashing, frantic wave. The wave expends itself on the shore and is gone. The current endures. It directs. This move is a strategic, and yes, an empathetic, withdrawal. Do not mistake it for weakness. Weakness is reactive. This is proactive. Weakness is born of fear. This is born of resolve. It is the conscious, deliberate decision to stop feeding the dysfunction with your own energy, to stop handing your opponent, be they lover, foe, or frantic mind, the next sword they will use against you. Think of the classic pattern. A provocation is issued, a criticism, a dismissal, a coldness. The ancient automated machinery within you whirs to life. Your pulse quickens. Your script is retrieved. You engage. You defend. You explain. You counterattack. You plead. The cycle spins faster. You are now both contributors to a storm of your mutual making. Where's the power here? You are a slave to the cycle. The silent move is to step off the carousel. It is to see the provocation for what it is, not a truth to be answered, but a gambit, a piece placed on the board. And instead of immediately placing your own piece, you pause. You let their piece sit there alone in the silent space between you. You withdraw your reaction, not your presence, not your care if care is warranted, but your automatic expected reaction. This creates a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. In that sudden, unexpected silence, the old script fails. The predictable playbook burns. They are left facing not your anger, your defense, your noise, but the echo of their own. And in that echo they hear themselves, often for the first time. More crucially, you are left with yourself. You reclaim the territory of your own emotional state. You are no longer a hostage to theirs. This is the redefinition. Power is no longer about seizing the microphone. It is about having the quiet confidence to not speak into it when the words expected of you are poison. It is the power of the composed, the contained, the unshakable. It says, I see your move. I am not moved by it. The rules of this game have just changed. It transfers the burden of the emotional temperature back to its rightful owner. It is the ultimate demonstration of self-possession. And from that fortified ground, and only from that ground, can you then choose what to do next. Speak with clarity, set a boundary, walk away, or offer grace from a place of strength, not desperation. Control is the shout that demands a statue not fall. Influence is the quiet engineering that ensures the foundation can hold it up forever. The first move is to stop playing their game and master your own. Understanding the target is not enough. You must know the weapon. You have been told the move is silence. This is incomplete. Silence can be a weapon of the weak, a sulk, a punishment, a retreat into shadow to lick wounds and plot a petty vengeance. That is not power. That is resentment in hibernation. The silent power move is not the silence of the wounded. It is the silence of the surgeon, focused, intentional, a sterile field. Let us dissect it. This move has a single critical point of action, the space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your freedom. Most people live as if this space does not exist. A thing is said, a thing is done, and like a hammer striking a bell, they ring out, loud and clear, with their programmed chime. Anger begets anger. Accusation begets defense. Panic begets pleading. You are an instrument played by the world. The move is to find that space, to widen it, to inhabit it. It is not a retreat from the conversation. It is a deliberate occupation of the territory within yourself before any conversation can continue. You withdraw your reaction. You do not withdraw your presence. Your awareness becomes hyper-focused. You feel the heat rise, the old words form on your tongue, the familiar machinery of conflict engage its gears. And you disengage the clutch. This is the pause. But not a passive pause. An active, disciplined holding. You are holding your own energy. You are containing the wildfire of your own impulse. In that moment, you are doing the hardest work there is. You are facing the storm inside your own chest and choosing not to let it out to ravage the landscape. You are letting their provocation, their chaos, their emotional projectile pass through the space you share and hit nothing. It meets no target. It finds no purchase. It simply exists. And then it is gone, leaving only its own echo for them to hear. This is the critical distinction from the petty silent treatment. The silent treatment is an action against another. It is communication designed to inflict uncertainty, to punish. It is manipulative and corrosive. It says, "You are not worthy of my words." The silent power move is an action for yourself. It is a discipline designed to reclaim clarity, to establish sovereignty. It says, "I am not yet worthy of my own words. I will not speak until I can speak from my truth, not my trigger." You are not ignoring them. You are listening more acutely than ever. You are listening not just to their words, but to the intent behind them. You are listening to the tremor in your own hands, the tightness in your own breath. You are gathering data from the internal and external battlefield. You are, for that moment, an observer. And in that observation, you drain the situation of its reactive fuel. Think of a master of strategy. They do not rush their pieces forward the first sign of the enemy's advance. They hold, they assess. They let the enemy reveal their formation, their intent, their overextension. Your reaction is your most valuable piece. Do not sacrifice it cheaply in the opening move. Withdraw from the immediate line of fire. Bring it back to the safety of your own citadel, your reason, your values, your core. This creates a profound dissonance in the expected pattern. They have fired the first shot, braced for the return volley. And there is nothing, not a wall, not a shield, just open air. The tension does not snap, it stretches. And in that stretching, everything changes. The dynamic is no longer a predictable tennis match of attack and return. It becomes a chess game where you have just declined to take a pawn, and in doing so, revealed you are playing a different game entirely. You are not freezing them out. You are creating a climate where the heat of impulse dies down, and the harder, colder facts of the situation can be seen clearly. You are not giving them the cold shoulder. You are giving the situation a chance to breathe, so that when you do speak, you are breathing life into something new, not just adding more smoke to the fire. The anatomy of the pause is the anatomy of reclaimed choice. In that silence, you are not doing nothing. You are doing the only thing that matters. You are choosing who you will be in response. The weapon is not your silence. It is the choice your silence protects. You have created the space. You have withdrawn the reaction. Now, you must understand what you have set in motion. You have not created nothing. You have created a vacuum. And physics, like psychology, abhors a vacuum. Something will always rush in to fill it. The old screaming patterns of your relationship, the dance of attack and defend, pursue and withdraw, criticize and placate. Those patterns were fed by the fuel of your mutual, noisy participation. You have just removed your fuel. The fire begins to starve. But nature does not simply accept stillness. When you stop feeding the noise, what fills the silence is truth, the raw, unadorned truth of the dynamic now exposed. Your silence is a mirror, held up with steady hands, and into that mirror they are now forced to look. They see their own gesture, frozen in midair, with no parry to justify it. They hear their own words, hanging in the air, with no rebuttal to give them further meaning or battle to fight. The energy they launched outwards, which was meant to collide with your energy and create the familiar, explosive chemistry of conflict, that energy has no partner. It must travel onward, and eventually it circles back. It returns to its source. This is the alchemy. You are not transforming them. You are not arguing them into change. You are changing the environment in which the interaction occurs. By refusing to hold the emotional temperature for both of you, you let the thermometer drop to its natural level. You stop absorbing the ambient anxiety, the shared panic, the mutual frustration. You let it reside where it originated. Think of a parent and a child in a tantrum. The child's emotional state is volcanic, all-consuming. The untrained parent meets that volcano with their own, with shouts, with threats, with a matching chaos. This creates a feedback loop, a screaming harmony. But the parent who possesses this silent power, they do not engage the tantrum. They become a calm, immovable object. They do not reward the noise with attention. They let the child's emotional storm expend itself against the unyielding shore of their own composure. They let the void exist, and in that void the child is left alone with the echo of their own screams. The dysfunctional pattern is interrupted. The cycle breaks. In adult relationships, it is the same. You have been, perhaps unconsciously, holding the burden of the emotional temperature for two. You have been trying to manage not only your own feelings, but theirs, to fix their mood, to answer their unspoken anxiety, to soothe their irritation by contorting yourself. When you pause, when you create that space, you respectfully put that burden down. You place it back into their hands. It was always theirs to carry. This is not abandonment, it is the opposite. It is a profound act of respect. You are respecting them enough to believe they can handle their own emotional state. You are respecting yourself enough not to be consumed by it. And in that transfer, a forced recalibration begins. The dynamic cannot continue on its old rails because you have removed yourself from the track. They are left standing on a platform with a ticket to a destination you are no longer traveling to. The void you create becomes a crucible. In its quiet heat, two things are forged. First, clarity for you. Freed from the reactive storm, you can see the situation for what it is, not for what it feels like in the panic of battle. Second, consequence for them. They are left to face the unmediated impact of their own behavior, without your reactive noise to blame, to fight against, to use as a distraction. They must sit in the room with the creature they have unleashed. And that is a powerful teacher. It compels a more thoughtful engagement, or it exposes a refusal to engage thoughtfully. Both are answers. Both are data. The silence is not a wall, it is an invitation to step down from the stage of performative conflict and to meet on the solid ground of reality. But you must be prepared. The void may be filled with their introspection, their own calming down, or it may be filled with a louder, more frantic attempt to provoke the old reaction from you, a tantrum testing the new limits. Your discipline must hold. The space must remain clean, uncontaminated by your old patterns. This is where the power truly shifts, not through a victory in battle, but by declining the war. You allow the inherent tension of the truth to do the work that your arguments never could. The most transformative force is not your voice arguing with theirs. IT is the silence that allows them to finally hear themselves. The void you create is not empty. You are in it. This is the truth few are willing to face. You have cleared the external noise, the immediate skirmish, and now you are alone in that silence with the most volatile, unpredictable element in any conflict. Yourself. Your own need, your own fear, your own ancient machinery, still humming, gears still trying to turn. The silent power move is not magic. It is not a trick you play on someone else. It is a siege you withstand within your own walls. This is the internal work. This is the forging of the will. The space you create between stimulus and response. That is not neutral territory. It is a proving ground for your spirit. And in that ground your demons will rise. The demon of anxiety, whispering that this silence is a mistake, that things are getting worse, that you must fix it now, you must explain, you must correct, you must regain control. The demon of the need for resolution, screaming that this tension is unbearable, that any answer, even a destructive one, is better than this awful, open-ended quiet. The demon of the fear of conflict, hissing that you are making them angry, that you will be abandoned, that peace at any price is the only rational choice. This is where the move is won or lost, not in the room with them, in the quiet of your own mind. If you cannot hold this line internally, your external silence will be a lie. It will crack. It will shatter into 1,000 pieces of renewed desperation. You will break the silence with a whimper, a plea, a concession that betrays your own newfound ground. Your pause will have been a tactic, not a transformation, and tactics without a fortified spirit are easily routed. So you must fortify. You must become the calm center of your own storm. This means facing the unbearable urge to manage the unmanageable, another person's emotional state. It means sitting with the terrible truth that you cannot control the outcome, you can only control your own conduct. It means letting the anxiety wash over you like a wave, feeling its cold shock, and knowing you will not drown because you have chosen not to fight the ocean. You have chosen to float, to breathe, to endure. This is the source of the power. The power does not come from the silence itself. It comes from the reason you are able to maintain it. That reason is your commitment to your own emotional sovereignty. It is the decision that your worth, your stability, your reality is not contingent on their next word, their approval, their capitulation. You are building a citadel of self that cannot be besieged by another's mood. You are learning the hardest lesson, that you are separate, that their chaos is not yours to resolve, that your peace is not theirs to grant. Before you can change a dynamic, you must change your relationship to the dynamic. You must stop needing it to be different in order for you to be okay. You must find the okayness within yourself first, alone, in the dark, with only the sound of your own breathing. This is the work. It is unglamorous, it is painful, it feels like inaction, but it is the most profound action you can take. You are rewiring your own instincts. You are replacing a lifetime of reactive programming with a single conscious choice, the choice to be governed by your own principles, not by their provocations. Your clarity in that space is everything. Clarity about what you will accept. Clarity about where your boundaries truly lie, not where your fear wants to draw them. Clarity about what you value more than the temporary relief of a resumed conflict. This clarity is your anchor. When the storm of their reaction or your own anxiety hits, you do not look to them to steady you. You doctor up your own anchor and hold fast. This internal fortification is what makes the silence powerful. Without it, the silence is just a pause before the same old song continues. With it, the silence is the space in which a new symphony is composed. You are not waiting for them to change. You are changing. You are becoming the composed, non-reactive presence that, by its very existence, makes the old dysfunctional dance impossible. You are not trying to calm the storm. You are learning to become calm within it, and in doing so you change the climate for everyone. The battleground is always first within you. Conquer that, and no external conflict can ever truly conquer you. The silence is not the end. It is the gathering, the compression of energy. Before the release, you have weathered the internal storm. You have held the space. You have let the chaotic energy of the moment dissipate against the bedrock of your composure. Now you are faced with a critical juncture. What do you do with this quiet you have earned? This is where the power is actualized. This is where the move transforms from a defensive hold into a strategic advance. For the space you created was not a retreat. It was a deployment of your true self. You return to the engagement, but you do not return as the reactive participant you were before. That person is gone, disarmed in the quiet. You return as an emissary from your own clarified core. The noise is gone, the static of hurt ego, of frantic defense, of panicked need. It has been tuned out. What remains is signal, the clear, uncompromising signal of what is true for you. This is the catalyst. From this place, communication ceases to be a negotiation of blame and becomes a declaration of reality. You are no longer speaking to win, to hurt, or to placate. You are speaking to inform, to delineate, to express a truth that now stands in dent of their agreement. When you speak from this place, your voice carries a different weight. It is not heavy with emotion. It is dense with conviction. It does not quaver with need. It resonates with certainty. This is how boundaries are truly set, not in the heat of the moment, as a retaliatory wall thrown up in anger. Those are barricades, flimsy and born of fear. A true boundary is not a wall you build against someone in the midst of an assault. It is a property line you calmly survey and mark from a place of peace, then communicate with the quiet authority of a sovereign state. You are not screaming, "Stop crossing this line." You are stating, with the flat calm of a surveyor's report, "This is the line." You are now aware of it. From your silent center you can say, when you speak to me in that tone, "I cannot continue this conversation." And it is not an ultimatum born of anger. It is a simple, factual statement of cause and effect, delivered from a place of such profound self-respect that it brooks no argument. You can say, "I understand you are upset, but I will not be spoken to that way." And the power is not in the threat, but in the unimpeachable calm of the statement. You are not demanding they change. You are announcing how you will proceed. You have changed, and in changing yourself, you have changed all the rules. Authentic communication from this place is fearless because its primary goal is no longer to control the other's reaction, but to honor your own truth. You can express a need without it sounding like a desperate plea. You can express a hurt without it sounding like an accusation. You can express a limit without it sounding like a punishment. The emotional charge has been siphoned off in your private discipline. What is left is clean, clear, and therefore immensely powerful. This is the return on your investment of silence. You traded the cheap currency of a heated retort for the gold of considered speech. And when you speak from gold, people listen differently. They may not like what they hear, they may rage against it, but they cannot dismiss it as mere emotional noise. They are faced with a choice: to engage with the substance of what you have said from a more grounded place themselves, or to reveal themselves as the sole source of further chaos. You have handed the dynamic back to them, clean and sober, and asked them what they will do with it. The silent move creates the conditions where your words, when you finally choose them, become acts of creation, not just reaction. You are no longer building your case in a courtroom of blame. You are architecting a new reality from the raw materials of your own integrity. Your calm becomes the anvil on which a stronger, more honest connection can be forged, or on which the brittle weaknesses of the old one are finally revealed and broken. Speak not from the storm of the conflict, but from the eye of it. That is where your true voice is found. This discipline, this single, rigorous practice of mastering your own reaction, it is not a tool for one room. It is a key that unlocks every room. You do not change one relationship. You change your fundamental presence in the world of connection. You alter your gravitational pull, and in doing so, you change the orbit of every person who moves in your sphere. Consider the ripple. In a romantic partnership, you stop the dance of pursuer and distancer, the symphony of nag and retreat. You become a steady planet, fixed in your own orbit of self-respect. Your partner can no longer rely on your predictable chaos. They must now navigate the real gravity of your calm. They can choose to align with it or drift away, but they can no longer use your reactive energy as their own propulsion. The entire romantic system wrecked. calibrates around the new mass of your composure. With family, those old scripts, written in childhood ink, the patterns are deepest. The hooks are sharpest. A pointed comment from a parent, a goading jab from a sibling. These are designed to trigger the child that still lives within you, to pull you back into the old role. When you pause, when you let that hook pass through the space without catching your flesh, you step out of the role. You are no longer the rebellious child, the placating peacemaker, the achieved one seeking validation. You are an adult, present by choice. You sever the strings of a puppet show decades in the making. The family system, confused and unsettled, must now find a new way to interact with a ghost that is no longer on its stage. In the workplace, it is the same. The provocations are different, but the mechanisms are identical. The passive-aggressive email, the undermining comment in a meeting, the pressure of a domineering superior. The reactive move is to fire back, to defend your territory with equal panic, to get drawn into the petty political skirmish. The silent power move is to see the gambit for what it is, a play for your energy, your focus, your peace. You do not engage on that level. You respond when you respond, from a place of detached professional clarity. You become the one person in the room who cannot be baited, who cannot be flustered, who cannot be drawn into the emotional fray. You become not a participant in the chaos, but a calm center of gravity around which the chaos must eventually settle. Your authority is no longer tied to your title, but to your unshakable presence. Friendships, too, are transformed. The friend who relies on drama, who draws you into cycles of complaint and co-misery, finds their fuel cut off. Your silent, calm presence in the face of their storm is a mirror that shows them their own reflection without your shared distortion. They will either calm to meet your level, or they will seek noisier waters. The friendship is refined, or it ends, but it is no longer a chain that binds you to a dynamic you outgrew. This is the ultimate effect. You stop dancing to every dysfunctional tune the world plays. You change the music. By holding your own rhythm, the rhythm of a measured breath, of a considered response, of an emotional sovereignty, you force every relationship to harmonize with that. You become a calm center. And a calm center exerts a force more powerful than any outburst. It does not demand respect. It commands it by its very nature. It does not plead for better treatment. It makes poor treatment impossible to administer because there is nothing for it to latch onto. You cease to be a player in their game. You become the environment in which all games are now played, and you set the weather. This is the silent power move that changes everything, not because you have manipulated a single outcome, but because you have rewritten your own core code from reactive to sovereign. You are no longer a weather vane, spinning frantically in every emotional wind. You are the stone tower. The wind must now flow around. Master the silence within yourself, and you will find the world has no choice but to speak to you differently.